Hello, all. I'm your host, Rodimus Prime. It is Wednesday, May 25th, 2022. Today we are going to be doing, because you guys have been enjoying it every week. You guys have been coming back, checking out the predictions on it. So let's go ahead and let's do it today. We're going to be doing our predictions for CDL Major 3, Week 3. This is the final week of the CDL qualifiers before next week, which is Major 3. Top 8 teams will directly into the winners bracket. Bottom 4 teams go into losers bracket. Did a little bit of clarification on how this works out. I was a little bit confused. So teams are going to eventually play these 5 qualifiers. This will be the final week of matches, and after this week, depending on how these teams place out, we will have our standings. So we're going to go ahead and look at how those are going to go. But yeah, guys, we're going to go ahead and look at these predictions, and let's get into it. All right, guys, we're going to get straight into this here. This is the week 3 qualifiers here. It's the final week of qualifiers. I'm going to have a match for each day that I think is going to be the match of the day that is worth watching. That is definitely one you want to tune in for. And we're going to go ahead and make our predictions as follows. Our first matchup is Paris Legion versus Toronto Ultra. Now, when going and looking at the standings here, you see that this is Paris's last chance to get a W. Otherwise, they're going to finish 0-5. Even if they go and they win this match against Toronto, that still puts them at 1-4. And unfortunately, I don't see LAT or London Royal Ravens falling in that regard, nor do I see Mutineers or Breach falling. So I think Paris Legion is probably going to be your bottom seed at this Minnesota or this Major 3. And I think that they're going to be 0-5. I hate saying that, but they've done nothing to show that they are a team who's ready to play. You watch them and they just look defeated. Temp is just going through the motions right now. And I got to give it up to Gravity for stepping up and for playing the way he's played. But at the same time, it's like you can't you can't have Jimbo and John playing the way that they are right now. It's not fair to Temp or Gravity, and unfortunately, until they make a switch, which I don't think is going to happen this year, they're going to be stuck in limbo, and they're going to continue to lose these matches. So with that being said, our first matchup, I'm going to give Legion the benefit of the doubt, and I think they take one map, like a hard point, maybe an S&D off of Ultra. But I think ultimately that Ultra ends up winning this, and I think that it's probably going to be 3-1, which would put Ultra at 3-1 through 4 matches, which is a really good overall win-loss record going into that Major 3. So next up, we have Seattle Surge versus Florida Mutineers for our second matchup of the day. This one also almost got match of the day, but then I saw our third match, and we'll talk about that one here in a little bit. But you've got Seattle, and with that being said, Seattle's played kind of as I thought they would. They're a little bit up and down. They played Toronto in that first week, and they lost 3-2. Played Paris, not a great team. Ended up beating them 3-1. And you go to week 2, and they beat LA Thieves 3-0, and we're now in week 3. So you've got them playing Florida, which I thought Florida was a much better team than they were, and they've proved me wrong, and they've been not that great. Looking at both of them in the standings here, Seattle's 2-1, Florida's 1-2. If Seattle wins this game, they go to 3-1 and tie Toronto Ultra at that 3-1 spot. These top 5 spots, I think, are sealed up for these top 5 teams. I think these top 5 teams, and these are probably going to be your top 5 teams of the major. With that being said, I don't see Florida beating Seattle, but I do see this one going the distance. I think that Seattle wins it 3-2. I'm trying to learn from my mistakes, and one of the mistakes I made was not trusting Seattle to win some of their qualifiers, because sometimes they do really good at qualifiers. So we'll take Seattle to win this one 3-2 in a very close series. Now, this is my match of Friday. It's Minnesota Rocker versus Atlanta FaZe. Atlanta FaZe is the number 2 team in the game right now. The point standings say they're number 1, but if we look at the top 2 teams head to head, they're the number 2 team. Minnesota is 4-0 in qualifiers, and after last week's what they did against Toronto and how they've been just undefeated, they look like a really solid team. Will that translate to LAN? I don't know. But with Havoc joining, they look like a whole different team. Priesta's playing better. In general, the whole team is playing better. And Atlanta beats every team besides Optic. If Havoc goes rogue and does what he normally does, and he gets going, he's going to be a problem for Atlanta. Because he's young, he's hungry, and he knows how to move around the map really well, and he knows how to get himself in these power positions that allow him to get his team back into the game. So for me, I am going to do something that I haven't done for 2 straight weeks. I'm going to pick Minnesota to win this. I think Atlanta, after their loss to Optic, is a little bit shook. I think that they are going to have some problems with Minnesota, and I haven't picked Minnesota, and they've won every match. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think Minnesota wins this 3-2, and I think that your final S&D is going to be like a 6-4 round. I think it's going to be really close, but I think Minnesota ekes it out and wins this series 3-2 to go 5-0 in the qualifiers. And if they do, props to them because they beat some good teams to do it. All right, we are on to day 2. We have 4 matches on day 2. So our first matchup, which I don't understand why they did this, you had Atlanta playing the previous night at the end of the night, and then they're starting off the day like right away playing LAG. Now, LAG, I think this is their final match as well. Yeah, this is their final match. And unfortunately, as I said last week, they did exactly what I thought they were going to do. Something happened with this team. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's a confidence thing, but ever since Major 2, ever since Pierce went away and then came back, they look like the exact same LAG that they were before Pierce took a break. I look at Kyler Hook, and it almost seems like he plays more passively with Pierce on the team. Like, it looks like he is almost not doing what he normally does. Like, he doesn't feel comfortable. And I wonder if maybe that's a team dynamic, or if that's how they have things designed in their setups. But it seems like Kyler is almost hindering himself when he plays with Gunless. And maybe I'm wrong about that. But that's just kind of an eye test, kind of what I'm seeing. But with that being said, I think, unfortunately, LAG doesn't win a single game. I think that they had all the momentum at Major 2, and I think that they have beaten FaZe. But I think FaZe is going to wake up mad because they lost to Minnesota, and I think that they're going to beat LAG. I think it's going to be 3-0, which puts FaZe at 3-2, and I think that they'll probably be your 5 seed going into Major 3. I think that they're definitely experiencing some rocky times. I think LAG is going to be your 11 seed in the losers bracket, finishing 1-4. So let's hope they do better at Major 3, and FaZe is kind of going through some rocky times. A couple losses in back-to-back weeks, and then, you know, to these teams, we'll see if they can rebound back and see if my predictions are right. Our second match of Saturday is the London Royal Ravens against Toronto Ultra. Ravens have, ever since Harry stepped in, and they've had to replace some stuff, or had to kind of figure some stuff out, because ever since Harry came in, I don't know, where are they? It's this one. Yeah, they have not been the same team. There's not that same energy. There's not that same flow. They were a top 3 team within the first 2 majors, and they've just fallen off and just not been the same. And Toronto, I think, is kind of on a resurgence. I think that they are going to play well. I think that they're going to beat Paris, and I think they're going to beat London. I think they're going to beat London 3-1 again. They beat Paris 3-1. I think they're going to beat London 3-1, and I think they're going to finish up this major qualifier, and they're going to be 4-1. They're going to be a top 3 team up here. They're going to be in like this area. I think they're going to be your 3 seed, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do at the major. Toronto's a team that may finally be figuring things out at the right time. They've kind of been that underdog, under the radar team that people realized was really good last year, but hasn't really put it all together this year, and maybe now they're finally putting those pieces together, and they're getting good at the right time, right around Major 3, going into Major 4, and then to the championships. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if they come out 4-1 through the qualifiers, and we'll see what ends up happening. But my prediction was Ultra beats London Royal Ravens 3-1. Next up, we've got LA Thieves and Boston Breach. As badly as Paris has been playing, LA Thieves may have gotten the biggest amount of flack this week. If you watch The Flank, if you watch, I believe it's Breaking Point, I think that's what, or no, Reverse Sweep, excuse me. If you watch Reverse Sweep, they were a team that was just demolished by like their pro constituents in the community who have played and who are now watching and analyzing. And the fact is it seems like they're a team that's in disrepair. They don't know what they want to be. They don't know who they want to be. According to a couple of their players, they fry in scrims and then they go to these qualifiers and they can't win a single match. So I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know if they're checking out for the qualifier starter. I don't even know if it's like little infighting. It just feels to me like there's a disconnect. And with Boston, they're up and down. If Methods and Capsule are doing what they do, Boston's a great team. But Boston can't beat the top 3-4 teams. So in the end, I think Boston wins this. I think they probably win 3-2. And I think that that Thieves go to 1-3. I think Boston goes to 2-2, and that's all there really is to it. Nothing really too much out of this other than Boston wins and LA loses. So, and then our final match of Saturday, which is Optic versus New York Subliners. This is my match of day 2. Just looking at top to bottom of these matches, this is probably going to be the most competitive. New York is a team that is definitely emerging. As I said last week, they've got some things they have to work out, they have to fix, but if they do, they're going to be a really good team. I think Optic is going to have a tough time because they don't really play NYSL. And if they have, it's been a while. Like, it's been about a month. I don't think they've played them in a very long time. If they have, it's scrim. But I think this new NYSL roster is going to give Optic some problems. I think Optic is the best team in the game right now. I think that they are very dominant. They play extremely well. I think Shotzi and Dashi are the two best players at their position in the game, comparable to Celium and to Simp. For me, though, I think Optic is going to take this. I think it's going to be a 5-game series. I think Optic's going to win it 3-2. But I think New York is going to realize during this match that they can play with the top teams. And I think that, as I said, don't be surprised if New York is there at the end of the year. I really, you can tell with teams when a team is just hitting on all cylinders, and that team is vibing. They are playing well with each other. They like each other. They're on the same page. So they're going to be a tough team. I think Optic takes this. I think they win it 3-2, and I think that they go up to 4-0 on qualifiers. We get into the final basically day of competition here for final day of qualifiers. We have 3 matches left before we get into the final standings for the majors. So that being said, you've got, for the first start of the day, you've got Seattle Surge versus London Royal Ravens. As I said previously, London's a team in disrepair. Seattle's wildly up and down, but Seattle has had their roster has not made changes, and they've worked together longer. I think there's more team cohesion, and I think they beat London. I think they beat them 3-1, and I think that that's just how that's going to play out. And Seattle will end up finishing 4-1. So that's, and London finishes, because I think London loses both their previous series. They finish 1-4, so they're going to be in this 9, 10, 11, 12, probably at the 10th spot here. So for the major 3. Second matchup is Florida Mutineers versus Boston Breach. I'm actually going to take Florida on this. I think Florida bounces back. I think Boston loses this. I think it's a close series. I think Florida wins it 3-2. Unfortunately, I think Boston's wildly up and down, and I think they're in an inconsistent time. I don't know if something's going on behind the scenes. I don't know what's going on, but unless Methods is frying And as I said, unless Capsidal is doing his thing, they're not winning series. So I think Florida's going to take this. I think they're going to take it 3-2. And then our final matchup of Sunday is Optic Texas versus LA Thieves. LA is one of the only teams to have beaten Optic this year. Optic hasn't lost very much. I think they've lost 4 series total, and LA Thieves is one of the teams to do that. I think that there's this whole rivalry because, you know, it is Hex and it is Nate Shot. Nate Shot, you know, used to be a part of Optic and then kind of went out of his own. So I think there is a little bit of a rivalry there. But I think Optic gets this win back. I do think that they probably have a game taken off of them. I think LA Thieves takes 1 match, but I think Optic wins this 3-1. And they go 5-0 out of this and finish top 1, top 2 seed going into Major 3. And with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and look at the standings after all my predictions. So I had Minnesota going 5-0. I had Optic going 5-0. So those are going to be your top 2 seeds after these qualifiers, if my predictions are right. So you got 2 5-0 teams. I think it's going to be based upon map count, but I don't actually know how that works out when it comes to who's the number 1 seed, who's the number 2 seed. So Optic and Minnesota are going to be your number 1, number 2 seed. Seattle and Toronto, I have both finishing 4-1. So I think they're going to be your 3/4 seeds. I don't understand. Like I said, I think it's based upon map count, but I don't know if it's based upon map count. Then Seattle will be your 3 seed, Toronto will be your 4 seed. I have Atlanta finishing 3-2, and I think they're going to be your 5 seed, and I think Atlanta is going to be a big question mark coming into this tournament. They might actually be at the perfect position to win a major, because as a 5 seed, you're not playing like a really tough seed. You're playing like a 3 seed or a 4 seed, so you're not having a really, really tough opponent. So I think that they're going to come in, and I think they're going to do some damage in that Major 3. I think they're going to be your 5 seed. Then New York, Boston, and Florida, I have all hitting 2 and 3. So they're going to be your 6th, 7th, and 8th seed based upon map count. I have New York being your 6th seed. I have Florida being your 7th seed, and I have Boston being your 8th seed. And that's going to round out your winners bracket. And your bottom 4 teams, I said, I don't think they're going to change. I think these are going to be your bottom 4 teams. And I think that based upon where they are, I think that's going to be your seeds. I think LAT is going to be the 9th seed, London the 10th, LAG the 11th, and Paris the 12th. I don't think they can improve their stock enough, nor make it into the winners bracket going forward. And I think the standings are not going to change. If they are, it's going to be a couple positions moved. But that's going to do it for me, guys. That's my predictions today for the week 3 qualifiers for Major 3. After this, the following week is the Major. I will make my full tournament predictions. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out, but I think it's going to be a great Major. I think we're going to have some upsets maybe, and I'm really excited. But as always, guys, thank you for watching through the video. These are my opinions. You don't have to agree with them, but I appreciate you staying through the entirety of the video. If you can do me a favor, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow.